Debbie, I need to first speak about Boeing and a Department of Transportation, which I think even Republicans would suggest is invisible. You have been a Washington power watcher for years. Why is the Department of Transportation invisible?
Well, I think that it's reflective of actually the Trump administration, where many of the roles you've seen all of these different cabinet agencies play have been very different than you've seen before. I actually, unfortunately, think they're not as invisible as I would like to see them be at times, because they are out there looking at regulation, not doing regulation, and really harming some of the industries. So it took too long to make the decision on what happened here on Boeing, but they got the information, and they did bring the planes down. But if you look at what they're doing in the auto industry, looking at eliminating the CAFE standards, which even the car companies themselves don't want, I think they may be indivisible. You can tell that I'm a Democrat that deals with these people all the time. Invisible to the daily people. They're not invisible to the industries that they're working with.
Congresswoman, we see Mr. O'Rourke enter the fray this morning. Your thoughts on Mr. O'Rourke? Can he differentiate himself from the field?
I think he makes this, I haven't even said good morning to you, Tom, so good morning, Tom.
It's too early for good morning.
No, this is my work hour. I'm in my office at 5:30. How many legislators do you know that go to work at 5:30?
I got fingers left over.
GM days. I think it will make it more interesting. I want to see how all these candidates are going to do. I come from the Midwest. I'm one of those people that predicted that Donald Trump could win, and nobody believed me. They all thought that I was crazy. I think he's going to excite some young people. He's going to have some different positions than some of the people that are in the race now. I have made a pledge to myself, let alone everybody else. I'm going to watch everybody. I'm going to see how they interact. I'm going to see how they play. I am keeping my powder dry. I think we're waiting for one more person to get in the race, and then I think let the race begin.
All right, Congresswoman, good morning from Paris. When you look at the trade negotiations between the U.S. and China, are we going to have a meaningful trade deal?
We have to really take a very serious look at this. I think these trade deals really matter, and I think that our country needs to have a level playing field. I think the China issue is very different than the NAFTA issue. The fact of the matter is that these tariffs have actually increased our trade deficit with China right now. We need to have a consistent, stable trade policy. The worst thing that happens to these companies is the ups and downs, and you don't know what at 10 a.m. if it's still going to be the same at 3 p.m. I would like to see, and the president ends up not talking to us up on Capitol Hill and telling us what the strategy is. So I do hope that we're going to bring, businesses need consistency. Businesses need stability. We got to figure out where this is going. We got to get a stronger trade policy, quite frankly, than we've had under Democratic or Republican presidents. So I don't throw out I could end up supporting the president on some of these trade deals, but not what we're doing right now.
Okay, so what does the president need to focus on to get the kind of trade deal that you would support and like?
Well, for me, NAFTA is the biggest trade issue. My area of the country was harmed, hurt. We lost jobs by NAFTA 1.0. So I call it NAFTA 2.0. And he's got to have while we're looking at this trade deal, it's being negotiated, the fact of the matter is GM closed 4 plants and put a Blazer plant in Mexico in the last 6 months. That's not a strong NAFTA 2.0 bill. Some of my colleagues have some problems on the labor piece, the pharmaceutical piece, but I think a number of us are inclined to want to support a NAFTA 2.0 if we can see some changes in the bill.
Congresswoman Dingell, I want to get back to the politics of the moment, and you mentioned one other person that may enter the race. Here is Mr. Riley writing it up in the Wall Street Journal. I don't know if you saw this piece, but it certainly speaks of the gentleman from Delaware as well. The former vice president is already getting the Clinton treatment from liberals who seem more interested in ideological purity tests than beating the president. A majority of blacks consistently objected to a busing policy that used their children like guinea pigs in a lab experiment to achieve more racial parity. It's easy to see those blacks going over well in large swaths of Ohio, Michigan, and Wisconsin that swung from Obama to Trump in 2016. Congresswoman, you have lived this for years with your family going back to Fisher Body and, of course, with the heritage of the Dingell family. When are the liberals of the Democratic Party going to wake up and listen to Debbie Dingell?
Well, I'm going to just keep being me. You know, and I'm one of the strongest supporters, co-chair of the Medicare for All. But I come at it from a very different perspective than some other people do. I think it's very important. One of the reasons Donald Trump won Michigan 2 years ago was because he talked about trade, and Democrats didn't talk about trade. There are a lot of other issues. I think we have several candidates. Beto's one that came in today. We'll see if the vice president does get in. They're going to talk about issues that matter to working people. You know, I think we always want to put these bents on people, the progressive, the conservative. Working people just want somebody who's going to care about them, who are going to have policies that make sure that they've got a job, that they can find a place to live, they can afford a place to live, that they can go to the doctor when they need to go to the doctor, afford their medicine if they have to, be able to educate their kids and have a safe and secure retirement. There's nothing, you know, that's just common sense. So what Democrats have to start to do is common sense. And quite frankly, I think President Trump did a better job talking about it. I'm not saying he delivered it, but talking about it in the last election. And whatever candidate does a good job of talking about it and being real and actually having policies that'll deliver for working men and women across this country, Republican or Democrat, there's who's going to win 2020.